My dear beloved brothers and sisters, today's story, called A Parable Retold, is a beautiful message of charity. How many times have we heard the parable of the Good Samaritan? How many times did we not pay close attention to the words and the meaning of the story that Jesus told us? So my prayer today is that when you listen to the story, this takes you back to moments where maybe we could be close to Jesus, sitting next to Him, listening to the same parables, and wondering what type of charitable acts we can do in our daily lives. Today's story comes from the book Jesus in the Home, psychographed by Francisco Candido, Xavier, by the Spirit, Neio, Lucio. Here's chapter 29, A Parable Retold. After the parable of the Good Samaritan, that night at Simon's house, Thaddeus was genuinely interested in the subject and asked the master to go into greater depth about the lesson. Jesus was willing, as usual, and began. An ill man, grimacing in pain, was lying on the ground at the gates of a large city. He was being watched by a small group of unlearned and indifferent people. A young, generous Roman sped by in his chariot and tossed 2 silver coins at the man. But an ill-mannered street urchin ran off with them. Soon thereafter, a venerable scribe of the law passed by. He said that he had important matters to take care of, but he promised to send authorities to help the nameless beggar. Almost immediately, a priest came parading by. He threw the homeless traveler a gesture of blessing, and stating that the worship of the Supreme Lord awaited him, he exhorted the people to take the sick man in and feed him. After him, a respectable lady suddenly came on the scene. The poor man made a moving plea, but the noble matron, bemoaning her role as a woman, asked if there weren't any men around who might help the sick man. Minutes afterwards, a great judge came along the same stretch of public road and alleging that he would need evidence providing that the wretch was not in fact some common fiend. He quickly left under the pretext that the opportunity did not behoove him. After a few moments more, a dealer in money bags appeared who sympathetically asserted his lack of time and gave 20 coins to the kind-looking man so that the matter of assistance might be resolved. But the extempore agent was really an escaped convict who ran off with the money without rendering the aid he had promised. The sick man writhed in sweat and pain, groveling in the dust, when along came an old publican, regarded as being a lowlife because he did not worship the Lord according to the rules of the Pharisees. To everyone's shock and amazement, he went up to the poor man, spoke a few words of encouragement and kindness to him, and helped him up. Supporting him with his own strength, he led him to a trustworthy inn, gave him the medicine he needed, and shared the small amount of money he had on him. Then he returned to his journey, continuing on his way with peace of mind. After pausing briefly, the master asked the disciple, "In your opinion, who performed the true act of charity?" "Well, of course," exclaimed Thaddeus, "although apparently despicable, it was the publican, because in addition to giving him money and kind words, he also gave him his sentiments, his time, his arm, and his fraternal encouragement, using his own strength to do so." Jesus complacently gazed at his disciple with a penetrating look and replied, "You too should do the same. Charity through others is without a doubt both honorable and commendable, but the good that we practice directly by giving of ourselves is always the greatest and surest of all." My dear friends, I hope that today's message helps us to be more charitable. May we go in peace and do more like Jesus did. Thank you. So be it.